My main goal in life is to lose my job. Today, I'm going to tell you all why. My name is Sheyteika. On the 22nd of January, the first of 30 reports was made to child safety with concerns for my well-being. I was then placed in out-of-home care at 2 years old and remained in care until I was 18. During that time, I lived with 15 families and attended 12 schools. Every home had different rules, different expectations, and different routines. After a while, I stopped unpacking, not just my clothes, but myself. Some homes lasted for a week, some for a few months, some family, some complete strangers. Every time I walked into a new house, my first thought was, which version of myself do I need to be here? Because it changes every time. And school wasn't any different. It was a new classroom, a new teacher, new faces, all while I was still trying to adjust to a new home, a new family, a new life. I was trying to figure out where I belong before I could even think about learning. I was too young to understand what was happening around me. All I knew was that I felt confused and angry. Because I couldn't understand those feelings, I didn't know how to express them either. So instead of talking about it, those feelings came out in my behaviour. I coped the only way that I knew how, by skipping school, breaking the rules, and pushing every boundary I could find. I was constantly in trouble and constantly testing limits, because that was how I tried to make sense of all of the chaos around me. Because of my behaviour, people often gave up. Homes and placements broke down and instability just kept growing. In Queensland, less than half of young people in care experience just one placement, meaning the majority of us move from home to home over and over again. On top of that, only around 1 in 3 of us will go on to complete Year 12. And even when we do push through and graduate, we are still more likely to leave school without moving into further education, training, or employment. These outcomes aren't about ability. We are just as capable, just as driven, and just as full of potential as anyone else. The reality is, it's not just emotional, it's neurological. When a young person experiences trauma and instability, their brain shifts into survival mode, making it almost impossible to focus, learn, or even believe in what's possible. But the right support can begin to change everything. When I was 15, I moved in with a new family. And at the time, it didn't feel special, just another placement. The family quickly noticed the gaps in my education from the amount of school that I had missed, so they suggested their eldest daughter Amelie spend time with me each week to work on schoolwork. And I remember thinking, absolutely not. I don't need her help. But that simply wasn't true. I just didn't know how to accept help anymore. Because when you've been on your own for long enough, letting someone in feels risky. What if they leave like everybody else? So I pushed back, I avoided it, and I didn't engage. And Amelie just kept showing up. Every week she would knock at my door for our sessions, and every week I would ignore her knock. Until one day, I must have felt bad because I decided I'd let her in. Much to my surprise, nothing dramatic happened. Sometimes I'd play video games while Amelie asked about my day at school. Sometimes we'd look at homework. Sometimes we would just kick a ball. I didn't realise it at the time, but something was changing. Because it wasn't about the homework. It was about the fact that Amelie kept coming back. Same time, same effort, same belief, every single week. After so many years of feeling lost, of pushing away, of thinking I couldn't do it, something finally shifted. I started enjoying school. I was finally understanding the work in class. Nothing about me suddenly changed. I was still me. The same kid who had struggled, acted out, and doubted herself. The only thing that changed was that Amelie believed I could do it. After a year, Amelie and her family moved to Germany, which left me transitioning into independent living at 16. Part of me thought, here we go again. But this time, something was different. Even though Amelie wasn't here anymore, what she gave me stayed. Her belief stayed. I ended up not only graduating high school, but graduating with a Certificate 4 in Crime and Justice Studies. 1 year. That's all it took. 1 year of consistency. One person showing up changed the trajectory of my life. Not just then, but every single day after. I was lucky to find Amelie. But why are we leaving something that powerful up to luck? because the solution isn't complicated. I never enjoyed learning. I enjoyed the way learning felt when it was connected to belonging. Today, I work as the Partnerships and Lived Experience Advocate at Change for Youth Foundation, where we run the Empower Youth program, a program built around something simple but powerful. We connect young people in out-of-home care with a consistent learning support mentor who shows up for the young person once a week for at least a year. These mentors are trained in trauma and understand the impact that instability has on a young person's life, not just in education, but in how they see themselves. During these sessions, education is the focus, but the relationship comes first. Because without that relationship, learning doesn't land. And without the consistency, belief doesn't build. The Empower Youth program gives young people their Amelie, not by luck, but by design. We currently run our program from our amazing sponsors and generous donors. However, we need constant government funding to continue growing to reach more young people like me. So when I say that my goal is to lose my job, I mean it. Because the day I lose my job will be the day that young people in care no longer need an advocate, because everyone has their Amelie. And until that day comes, I'm not going anywhere.